They told you to be calm, to breathe, to count to 10, to stay peaceful no matter what happens. And for years you believed it, that calm is a virtue, that silence means strength, that if you stay soft enough, life will somehow soften around you. But look closer. That peace you keep chasing? Sometimes it's just avoidance wearing a spiritual robe. Sometimes your so-called calm is nothing more than paralysis in disguise. I've seen people confuse numbness with peace, and I used to be one of them. I thought if I didn't argue, didn't react, didn't speak, I was becoming enlightened. But I wasn't enlightened. I was exhausted. I was scared. I wasn't calm. I was disconnected. Calm is not what you think. Real calm doesn't mean the absence of storms. It means learning to move through them without losing your center. There's a dangerous lie in a modern version of Buddhist calm that's gone viral on social media. Sit down, breathe, ignore the noise. But real Buddhism was never about ignoring life. It was about entering life fully, fiercely, consciously. The Buddha didn't teach us to escape the fire. He taught us to walk through it without burning away our compassion. You can't find real peace if you keep running from conflict. You can't grow if you keep choosing quiet over truth. Let me tell you what calm actually looks like. It's standing in the middle of chaos, with people shouting, with plans collapsing, and choosing not to hate. Not because you're detached, but because you understand. Calm is when your heart still beats fast, but you don't let it dictate your next move. Calm is not coldness. It's clarity. It's that small, deliberate pause between your trigger and your response. It's awareness choosing maturity. It's not Zen gardens and candles. It's the moment you look at the person who hurt you and say, I'm not giving you the power to make me bitter. When you try too hard to stay calm, you suppress truth. You bury your anger under layers of fake grace. You pretend you're fine when you're actually breaking. And over time, that silence turns toxic. You start mistaking repression for enlightenment. You call forgiveness, but it's really fear of confrontation. You call it letting go, but it's really emotional avoidance. Buddhism was never about bypassing your humanity. It was about transforming it. And transformation only happens when you face what you feel, not when you run from it. I use a light incense every morning, sit cross-legged and whisper, I am at peace. But the truth? I was angry at life, angry at how unfair things felt, angry that people used me because I didn't know how to say no. I thought being calm made me kind, but it made me invisible. It made me small. It made me a background character in my own story. Real peace began the day I got honest, the day I admitted I'm not okay. That's when calm stopped being an illusion and became something real, something earned. So here's the truth no one tells you. Peace is not a personality trait. It's a discipline. It's not passive. It's a practice. You don't find calm by avoiding conflict. You build it by walking through chaos and staying awake. You build it every time you choose honesty over pretending, boundaries over guilt, self-respect over pleasing others. Calm isn't the absence of reaction. It's the mastery of response. It's your ability to feel everything, yet not become everything you feel. The world today loves aesthetic spirituality. Soft lighting, gentle quotes, good vibes only. But that kind of calm crumbles the second reality hits. The second someone disrespects you, the second the world stops being gentle, because life isn't aesthetic. It's unpredictable, sometimes cruel, often unfair. And if your peace can be broken by a rude comment, it's not peace, it's comfort. Comfort disguised as calm. Real calm doesn't break. It bends. It doesn't hide from pressure. It refines under it. Think about it. What if peace isn't sitting still? What if peace is standing firm? What if it's the ability to speak your truth, not to win, but to be real? Real calm is saying no, when your whole life has been built on saying yes. It's walking away from a job that drains your soul. It's forgiving without forgetting who you are. It's crying without shame. It's being angry, but not cruel. It's being gentle, but not weak. It's not about closing your eyes. It's about opening them wider. You want to know how to practice calm? Don't meditate your feelings away. Sit with them. Let them shake. Let them talk. Let them teach you. Because that trembling inside your chest, that's not failure. That's awakening. Every emotion you repress becomes a ghost that haunts you. Every truth you avoid becomes a chain that drags you. But every feeling you face, with awareness and patience, becomes fuel for transformation. The storm isn't the enemy. Your resistance to it is. There's a moment in every breakdown when silence turns dangerous. When you've swallowed so much pain in the name of peace that your soul starts choking on the weight of it. You start losing your voice, your fire, your boundaries. That's not Buddhism. That's self-erasure. Calm isn't shutting up. Calm is speaking truth without shaking. Calm is being kind without letting others walk over you. Calm is saying, I deserve respect too, and meaning it. I once heard a monk say, still water reflects the truth. And I realized, yes, but even still water has depth. It's not stagnant. It's alive, full of movement beneath the surface. That's how peace works. On the outside, you seem composed. On the inside, you're fiercely aware. You know every ripple, every current, every shadow, and you accept them. That's not denial. That's mastery. So stop chasing stillness like it's a photograph. Life will never stay that still. Instead, learn to dance with the movement. When someone provokes you, pause, not to suppress emotion, but to choose your response. When you're angry, don't bury it. Breathe through it and let it speak truth, not poison. When life is hard, don't whisper, I'm fine. Say, this hurts, but I'm here. That's the kind of calm the Buddha meant, the kind born from awareness, not escape. If peace was supposed to make you smaller, quieter, emptier, it wouldn't be worth chasing. Real peace makes you expansive. It gives you spine, not just serenity. It gives you courage to stay kind in a world that profits from outrage. It gives you the confidence to walk away without hate. You don't have to be perfectly calm to be spiritually awake. You just have to be real. Calm isn't the goal. Awareness is. Peace isn't the destination. Presence is. So tomorrow morning, when someone tells you to stay calm, don't just breathe. Wake up. Look at what's really happening inside you. Ask yourself, am I calm or am I avoiding? Am I peaceful or am I just afraid to confront? Because the world doesn't need more quiet people. It needs more conscious ones. The kind who can look at chaos and still choose compassion. The kind who can hold space for pain without becoming bitter. The kind who can stay open when it would be easier to shut down. And if this truth stings a little, that's good. It means you're alive. It means your calm wasn't killed. It was just buried. Now you get to dig it up, clean it, and own it. The live calm ends here. The practice of clarity begins now. Don't be calm, be conscious. Don't be silent, be wise. Don't escape the storm, learn to stand in it. Because that's where your real peace is waiting. You keep asking for peace, but you forget where peace is born. It doesn't come from still water. It comes from waves that tried to drown you. Every calm sea you've ever admired was once a storm that learned discipline. That's what chaos does. It trains peace. Yet most of us treat chaos like a disease. We medicate it, run from it, scroll past it, pray it away. We tell ourselves, when things finally settle, I'll breathe. But here's the cruel joke. Life never settles. You do. Chaos isn't going anywhere. The question is, will you keep hiding from it, or will you learn its language? The universe has never promised stability. The Buddha didn't sit under a quiet tree because the world stopped screaming. He sat because the screaming no longer controlled him. Chaos will always find you. In your inbox, in your family, in your thoughts at 2 a.m. It's the uninvited guest that keeps showing up until you learn what it came to teach. And what it teaches over and over is presence. You can't fake presence in chaos. You can't rehearse it. You can only live it, heartbeat by trembling heartbeat. When my own life collapsed, I thought I was being punished. Friends disappeared. Work dried up. The future blurred. But underneath the noise there was a strange hum, almost like guidance. Every plan that broke was breaking an illusion I didn't know I was serving. I had built my comfort around predictability, and predictability had become my prison. Chaos shattered it, not to destroy me, but to set me free from a version of me that only survived inside routine. Maybe that's happening to you right now. Maybe everything you thought was solid is melting, and you're mistaking that melting for failure. It's not failure, it's recalibration. The universe rearranges what you refuse to outgrow. Chaos is the whisper that says, you can't keep pretending. The job you hate, the relationship that drains you, the peace that's only skin deep. Chaos exposes them all. It drags truth to the surface like waves drag shells from the ocean floor. Painful? Yes. Necessary? Always. You keep saying, I just want things to go back to normal. But normal is what made you numb. Normal was a lullaby that kept you asleep. Chaos shakes you awake. It breaks the illusion that comfort equals safety. Ask any muscle in your body. It only grows by tearing first. Ask any forest. It only renews after fire. Ask any soul. It only expands after breaking. Chaos is not cruelty. It's curriculum. The Western world sells serenity like a scented candle. Light it, breathe, escape. But real serenity isn't the absence of noise. It's the art of not letting noise rewrite your rhythm. You don't escape chaos. You conduct it. Like an orchestra. Every dissonant note becomes part of the larger music when you stop fighting and start listening. That's what spiritual maturity looks like. Not running from storms, but turning storms into symphonies. Here's what no one tells you. The people who look the calmest are often the ones who've danced longest with chaos. They learned its steps: resistance, surrender, rebuild, repeat. You can see it in their eyes, not naive softness, but tempered stillness. That's what I call earned peace. It doesn't tremble when life shouts. It doesn't shatter when plans collapse. It bends, breathes, and keeps walking. I remember a woman who came to a retreat I once joined. She said, I just want a peaceful life. The monk smiled and replied, then learn to make peace with unrest. She didn't understand. She thought peace meant avoiding drama, avoiding hard people, avoiding risk. But months later she wrote to say, the chaos didn't end, I did. The version of me that couldn't handle it died, and the version that was born. That's the paradox. Chaos doesn't ruin you. It refines you. Still, we keep treating chaos like an intruder instead of an instructor. We call it stress, burnout, crisis. But sometimes it's just life turning the volume up until you finally listen. Have you noticed how clarity always comes after collapse? You think your world is ending, but it's just your old worldview dissolving. What feels like punishment is preparation. What looks like loss is liberation, disguised as pain. The mind hates chaos because chaos can't be scheduled. It breaks your illusion of control. But control is the heaviest armor you'll ever wear, and chaos is the only thing strong enough to crack it. Every time you lose control, you meet your truth. Every argument, every failure, every sleepless night. It's not random. It's refinement. So stop begging for easy days. Ask for real ones. Ask for days that challenge you enough to stretch your patience, test your faith, and polish your presence. Easy never made anyone wise. Chaos did. The people you admire, the steady ones, the grounded ones, they didn't get there by avoiding fire. They walked through it barefoot and learned how to breathe inside flames. There's a story about a potter who told his apprentice, "If the clay doesn't crack, the bowl won't hold water." The heat that scares you is the same heat that seals you. That's chaos, the kiln of character. Without it, you leak. With it, you endure. You say you want mindfulness? Then pay attention when your mind is full. That's the real test. Meditation isn't just about sitting quietly. It's about sitting honestly when everything in you wants to run. The next time your life spins out, don't repeat empty affirmations. Breathe. Feel the mess. Ask, what is this moment demanding from me? Chaos always demands truth. And truth, once seen, never unsees itself. There will be days you break down. Good. Break down consciously. Don't glamorize the grind, but don't curse it either. Cry if you must, but cry awake. Anger if you must, but anger cleanly without poison. Every emotion is sacred data if you watch it without judgment. That's how chaos transforms from tormentor to teacher. People ask me, when will things calm down? I tell them, when you stop needing them to. Because the moment you stop resisting, chaos loses its grip. It's not the noise outside that hurts you. It's the fight inside against what is. The Buddha called it attachment. Modern psychology calls it control. Either way, peace begins when you surrender the fantasy of certainty. And surrender isn't defeat. It's design. It's saying, I choose to flow with what I cannot fix. That choice is power disguised as letting go. The paradox is delicious. The less you force, the more influence you gain. Because chaos respects awareness. It bows to those who don't panic. That's why monks smile in storms. They're not blind, they're trained. So here's the new prayer. Don't make my life easier, make me clearer. Don't remove my chaos. Teach me to hold it without breaking. Teach me to hear the signal inside the static. Teach me to stay open when the wind howls. That's the only kind of peace that lasts. The kind chaos itself recognizes. If you've been praying for calm and nothing's changing, maybe the answer arrived as noise. Maybe life is saying, stop hiding in the temple. Build one inside the storm. Because storms don't go away when you hide. They just follow you quietly. Better to face them where you stand, eyes wide, heart steady. The next time chaos visits, don't ask, why me? Ask, what part of me needs to evolve to match this? Because every storm only exists to reveal a version of you that's stronger, wiser, freer. That's the curriculum. That's the sacred classroom you can't skip. And when the wind finally calms, you'll realize something breathtaking. It was never trying to destroy you. It was tuning you. All that noise was an invitation to precision. All that pain was pressure carving shape out of softness. All that confusion was the path rearranging itself so you could finally walk it awake. So don't curse your chaos. Learn from it. Feed from it. Dance with it. Because it's not the opposite of peace. It's the training ground for it. Chaos is not punishment. It's permission. Permission to shed what's false, to face what's real, and to meet the part of you that's unshakable. And if the day feels like too much good, you're right where growth begins. Take one conscious breath. Feel the noise without flinching. Whisper to yourself, this is not destruction, this is instruction. Then step forward. Let the storm sculpt you. Let the mess mature you. Let the chaos teach you to conduct its symphony. Because you don't find calm by escaping the storm. You become calm by becoming the eye of it. They told you, be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself. Love yourself. It sounds beautiful, almost holy. But somewhere along the way, kindness became an excuse, forgiveness became a loophole, and self-love became a mask for comfort. We started confusing compassion with indulgence. We stopped holding ourselves accountable because self-care told us we didn't have to face the hard parts. We turned mirrors into filters. We look at our reflection and say, I accept myself, but deep down we're terrified of truly seeing what's there. Because real acceptance isn't gentle, it's surgical. You can't love yourself if you keep lying to yourself. Love without honesty isn't love. It's sedative. It numbs you just enough to keep you asleep inside the same habits that hurt you. Real compassion isn't saying, I'm perfect as I am. It's saying, I deserve better than the version of me who keeps breaking promises. The mirror doesn't care about your affirmations. It reflects what you are, not what you wish to be. The question is, can you look long enough without flinching? I used to call it self-forgiveness, but really it was self-forgetting. Every time I messed up, I'd say, it's okay, I'm human. And yes, I was human, but I was also hiding. I was using softness to avoid growth. I wanted relief, not responsibility. It felt good to say, I forgive myself. But nothing changed because forgiveness without correction is just spiritual procrastination. Buddhism never taught blind acceptance. It taught awareness. Awareness that cuts through illusion like a blade. Awareness that asks, what am I pretending not to know? Here's the paradox. The more you avoid self-judgment, the harsher it becomes. Repressed truth doesn't die. It festers. The voice you refuse to listen to turns into the critic you can't silence. You call it negative self-talk, but sometimes it's not cruelty, it's conscience. It's the part of you begging to evolve. You don't silence it with affirmations. You listen, decode, and act. Self-awareness hurts before it heals because you're removing the infection of denial. Think about it. Judgment isn't the enemy. Cruelty is. Judgment, when conscious, is simply observation with honesty. It says, this habit is harming me. This relationship drains me. This fear owns me. Without that clarity, kindness becomes enabling. You can't heal a wound you refuse to name. Yet most of us perform spirituality like theater. We light candles, repeat mantras, post quotes about self-love, while secretly rotting under polite avoidance. Real self-compassion isn't lighting incense while your life burns down. It's putting out the fire with both hands. It's looking in the mirror and saying, you messed up, but you're still responsible. It's holding yourself with both tenderness and truth. The Buddha's compassion wasn't sentimental. It was fierce. He didn't comfort ignorance. He illuminated it. That's what it means to love yourself deeply, to bring light into the dark corners you'd rather hide. Once, during a silent retreat, a teacher asked us to write down everything we hated about ourselves. The room filled with scratching pens and quiet tears. When time was up, he said, now bow to the paper. Someone asked, why will we bow to the worst parts of us? The teacher smiled, because those are the places where compassion is needed most. That moment changed me. I realized compassion isn't about pretending the flaws don't exist. It's about staying present while they tremble under your gaze. So here's a truth you won't find in the glossy self-help aisle. Kindness without discipline is cowardice. If your self-care always feels comfortable, you're not healing. You're hiding. The mirror doesn't want you to feel good. It wants you to feel real. When you finally dare to meet your reflection honestly, you'll notice something. The harshness fades. Because the moment you stop running, judgment loses its poison. Awareness transforms it into guidance. Maybe you've been telling yourself stories. I'm just tired. I'm just unlucky. I'm just not confident yet. But deep down, you know what's really going on. You know where you're wasting time, who's taking your energy, what dream you've been postponing. And that knowing, it doesn't leave you alone. It keeps tapping at the glass until you look. That's not guilt. That's your higher self knocking. It's saying, stop using softness as shelter. Come out and grow. We live in an age that glorifies validation. Everyone wants to be told they're enough. But enough for what? Enough to stay still? Enough to avoid change? The truth is, you are enough to begin, but not enough to stay the same. Growth demands discomfort. Compassion demands confrontation. A gentle lie will never heal what only brutal honesty can. Let's be real. Self-love without boundaries is self-betrayal. When you say yes to everything because you don't want conflict, you're not being kind. You're being complicit. You're helping the world exhaust you. Love sometimes says no. Love sometimes walks away. Love sometimes looks in the mirror and says, we're better than this. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. I remember the first time I truly looked at myself. Not the curated version, the one beneath the noise. I saw patterns I'd inherited, excuses I'd memorized, fears dressed as patience. It was ugly, but also sacred, because that ugliness was honest, and honesty is holy. In that moment, judgment became revelation. I didn't need to condemn myself. I needed to understand myself. That's the difference between shame and awareness. Shame says, you are the problem. Awareness says, there's a problem and you can change it. So next time you talk about being gentle with yourself, ask, am I being gentle or am I being dishonest? Gentleness heals only when paired with truth. Otherwise, it's anesthesia. Don't confuse comfort with compassion. Real compassion sometimes raises its voice. It calls you out. It says, wake up, you're repeating the same story. That's love in its fiercest form. The love that refuses to let you settle for half alive. Look again into the mirror. The lines on your face, the tired eyes, the regrets, they're not flaws. They're records. They prove you've lived, you've failed, you've tried. Don't hide from that reflection. Bow to it. Thank it. Then ask it what it needs. Not what it wants, but what it needs. Maybe it needs rest. Maybe it needs courage. Maybe it needs an apology from you to you. Then give it that. That's how you turn judgment into wisdom. The mind loves to judge, but the heart knows how to listen. When both work together, that's self-mastery. The mind says, you could have done better. The heart says, I know and we will. That's balance. That's real self-talk. Not sugar-coated lies, not brutal self-hate. Just radical honesty spoken with compassion. Understand this. The mirror never lies, but also never leaves. It's there every morning, waiting. You can spend years avoiding its message or minutes transforming from it. Every time you meet your eyes and don't look away, you reclaim a piece of power you once outsourced approval. You stop begging the world to tell you who you are. You start defining it yourself. So here's your new practice. Stop reciting, I am enough. Start asking, am I honest? Because honesty births confidence. Confidence births peace. And peace, not comfort, is what the soul was craving all along. If you want to know whether your self-love is real, look at what it produces. Does it make you stronger or softer? More aware or more blind? Does it lead you closer to truth or further into fantasy? The answers will sting, and that's good, because pain is clarity's midwife. Every sting carves out a space where truth can breathe. And if today that truth hurts, remember, the mirror isn't punishing you. It's inviting you to rebuild from authenticity, to meet yourself as you are and as you could be at once. The moment you stop running from judgment, you start maturing into freedom. That's the quiet revolution no one posts about. So love yourself, but love yourself enough to tell the truth. Forgive yourself, but forgive only when you've learned a lesson. Be gentle, but don't go blind, because the mirror of judgment, when faced with awareness, becomes a doorway to liberation. Every honest look is an act of awakening. Every flaw you face becomes a teacher in disguise. The world doesn't need more people chanting self-love. It needs more people practicing self-truth. The kind who can say, I was wrong, and grow from it. The kind who can face their shadow without collapsing. The kind who know that self-respect and self-responsibility are the same breath. That's the new Buddhism. The realism of awakening, not the comfort of illusion. So tonight, before you sleep, stand before your mirror. Look until the noise fades. Whisper, I see you, not the perfect you, the present you, the one still learning, still fumbling, still brave enough to keep looking. That's where real love begins, in a reflection that no longer frightens you. Because the mirror doesn't judge to shame you. It judges to show you what's possible. They told you, you are enough. You heard it in songs, on mugs, in endless affirmations that try to patch the holes inside you. And for a while it worked, like a warm blanket over a leaking roof. But the rain kept coming. Because the truth is, you are not meant to feel enough. You are meant to feel alive. And aliveness is never satisfied. Enough is a finish line for people afraid to keep running. The phrase was born with good intentions. It tried to heal a generation drowning in comparison and perfectionism, but then it turned into a lullaby that rocked us back to sleep. Instead of whispering courage, it whispered comfort. It told us we could stop trying, that growth was optional, that being static was self-love. But look around. Nature never stops evolving. The tree doesn't say, I am enough. It keeps reaching. The ocean doesn't say, I've filled enough shorelines. It keeps moving. Life itself is a constant stretch between what is and what could be. So why do we think enlightenment means standing still? I am enough becomes dangerous when it replaces curiosity. When it convinces you that you no longer need to learn, apologize, or change. When it turns self-acceptance into self-abandonment. Because the soul doesn't want enough. It wants depth. And depth requires hunger. Hunger for truth, for refinement, for better love, for clearer awareness. Not greed, growth. There's a difference. Greed is about possession. Growth is about expansion. Once I believed the mantra too. I whispered it every morning like a spell against self-doubt. But what I really needed wasn't to feel enough. I needed to feel responsible for my choices, my patterns, my potential. Telling myself I was enough became a way to avoid the work. It numbed the ache of unfinished dreams. It gave me permission to stay comfortable in the shallow end. Then life threw me into deeper water, and I realized no affirmation can replace preparation. Confidence without discipline collapses the moment chaos knocks. Buddhism teaches the middle way, not indulgence, not denial, but awareness. Yet somewhere, our culture twisted awareness into affirmation. We stopped observing and started chanting. We forgot that enlightenment isn't about feeling good. It's about seeing clearly. Sometimes clarity hurts more than criticism, because it demands that you admit there's still more to learn. There's still more to give. There's still more to become. You are enough to start, not enough to stop. The mantra should have an asterisk. I am enough to begin the next step, but we rarely add the second half. We cling to the first because it feels safe. Safe is seductive. It tells you that healing means never being challenged again. But healing was never supposed to cage you. It was supposed to prepare you for expansion. Look at the Buddha's life. He didn't sit under the tree because he felt complete. He sat because he was still questioning. He left palaces, teachers, extremes, because enough never satisfied his hunger for truth. The awakening came not from contentment, but from relentless sincerity. That's the paradox. Real peace isn't born from enough. It's born from, I'm still learning. Peace is not the end of growth. It's the foundation of it. Think about the times you've grown most. They weren't the seasons you felt enough. They were the seasons you felt called to change jobs and habits. Speak truths that scared you. That restlessness wasn't brokenness. It was divine momentum. The universe speaks in dissatisfaction. When you start feeling uncomfortable inside your comfort, that's not failure. That's evolution tapping your shoulder. We live in a world allergic to discomfort. We label every stretch as stress, every challenge as trauma. But sometimes the ache you feel isn't trauma, it's transformation. The cocoon doesn't comfort the caterpillar. It crushes it into wings. That's what the myth of enough steals from you. The holy pressure that turns softness into flight. Self-love that ends in self-complacency is spiritual malpractice. Because love wants your wholeness, not your stagnation. Imagine telling a child, "You're perfect, never learn again." You'd rob them of wonder. Yet we tell ourselves that every morning. No wonder our souls grow restless behind the smile of self-acceptance. Your higher self isn't asking you to love everything you are. It's asking you to love yourself enough to evolve. There's a kind of peace that's born from surrender and another born from mastery. The first says, I am enough, I'll let life flow. The second says, I am enough to hold the wheel. Both are sacred, but only one keeps the ship moving. Because spirituality without motion becomes sentimentality. And sentimentality is where wisdom goes to retire. Once a mentor told me, stop chasing balance, chase integration. He said balance makes you stagnant, integration makes you whole. Balance asks, how do I feel? Integration asks, who am I becoming? That's the shift from enough to evolving. And it's terrifying because evolution costs comfort. But peace that costs nothing teaches nothing. So, what do we do with the mantra now? We don't throw it away, we upgrade it. Say it differently. I am enough to begin. I am brave enough to continue. I am wise enough to improve. Turn enough from a wall into a doorway. Let it remind you that self-worth and self-work are twins. You can't raise one without the other. Here's the truth. You will never feel ready. That's why enough was invented, to soothe the fear of beginning. But beginnings don't need readiness. They need honesty. If you wait until you feel worthy, you'll wait your whole life. Start anyway. The worth grows in motion, not meditation. The mind tells you, when I'm healed, I'll act. The soul whispers, when I act, I'll heal. There's beauty in striving when it's rooted in presence. Striving without presence becomes obsession. Presence without striving becomes decay. The dance between the two is where mastery lives. And mastery is the quiet rebellion against good enough. Because mastery isn't about being better than others. It's about being truer than yesterday. Ask yourself, whereas I am enough become your hiding place? Where have you stopped trying because comfort dressed itself as self-care? Where are you mistaking relief for freedom? Be ruthless with the answers, but gentle with yourself as you face them, because that's how awareness sharpens without cutting. You spent years chasing peace like it's a personal trophy. You meditate, you journal, you light candles, you block the noise. You whisper, I just want peace. But maybe that's a problem. You want peace as a feeling, not as a responsibility. The world doesn't need more people hiding in peace. It needs more people serving from it. Because real peace isn't private. It's participatory. It's not a couch to rest on. It's a ground to stand on. The Buddha never said, find peace and keep it for yourself. He said, be the cause of peace. But being the cause is messy. It means walking into places where calm doesn't exist and becoming it. It means showing up where anger rules and refusing to mirror it. It means using your stillness as a weapon of clarity, not as a blanket of detachment. Most people think peace means comfort. That's why they lose at the moment life stops behaving. But peace isn't comfort, it's command. It's a discipline of choosing awareness over impulse, compassion over opinion, truth over convenience. That's not easy work. That's not good vibes. That's leadership of the soul. You don't get to keep your peace in a jar while the world burns. You're supposed to pour it out. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when your boss snaps, when your child cries, that's the moment peace becomes real. Not when incense burns, but when your patience does. Not when everything's aligned, but when everything's chaos and you still choose decency. That's the battlefield where enlightenment proves itself. There's a story that says the Buddha once met a man who spit in his face. The disciples froze, waiting for anger. The Buddha simply wiped his face and asked, "What next?" The man ran away, confused. The next day he came back, shaking, crying. "I was wrong," he said. "Please forgive me." The Buddha smiled. "There's nothing to forgive. The man who spit yesterday is gone. The man who stands before me is new. That's not passivity. That's sovereignty. That's a peace so stable. Time itself can't shake it. So let's talk about your duty. You say you want a calmer world? Then stop outsourcing peace to politicians and prophets. The only sustainable revolution begins inside your reactions. Every time you choose awareness over aggression, you make the collective mind a fraction clearer. Peace is fractal, 1,000 small, conscious acts creating a global frequency. You want change? Then start at the smallest level, your next breath. But be careful. Peace without boundaries is weakness. Compassion without clarity turns into martyrdom. You're not required to tolerate toxicity in the name of spirituality. Sometimes the most peaceful act is walking away. Sometimes it's saying no without explanation. Sometimes it's protecting your energy so you can keep serving where it matters. Remember, a candle that never shields its flame eventually dies in the wind. There's a false kind of calm that comes from isolation. If I just stay alone, no one can disturb me. But isolation doesn't create peace. It creates stagnation. You can't test stillness in silence. Stillness is proven in sound. Anyone can be spiritual on a mountain. Try being spiritual in a meeting, in a marriage, in traffic. That's where the monk becomes a master. The real test of peace isn't how you feel during meditation. It's how you treat people right after it. It's the gap between your enlightenment and your next conversation. The world measures your peace not by your quotes, but by your patience. And patience is not passive. It's the art of timing your truth. It's saying the right thing with the right energy, or saying nothing at all when words would only wound. Maybe you think peace is soft. It isn't. It's steel wrapped in silk. It's fire that knows its temperature. It's the ability to stand tall without shouting. It's the power to confront injustice without becoming injustice. That's the kind of peace this century needs. Peace with teeth, peace with spine, peace that stands up, because silence isn't always sacred. Sometimes it's complicity. Peace isn't the absence of anger. It's anger disciplined by compassion. When you cultivate that kind of peace, you stop reacting to life. You start responding with it. You become part of its rhythm, not a victim of its tempo. That's how you move from spiritual hobbyist to spiritual leader. Because peace isn't a mood, it's a strategy. It's how the wise fight wars, not with weapons, but with presence. I learned this the hard way. I used to think inner peace meant withdrawal. I'd shut down, stay quiet, disappear until the world felt safe. But peace built on avoidance collapses at the first sign of life. One day I realized peace is not something you keep. It's something you give. It's a current that flows only when shared. The moment you stop giving it, it stagnates. Like water in a bowl, it starts to smell. But when you let it run, through kindness, through action, it stays fresh. So here's a radical idea. Stop protecting your peace. Start practicing it. Take it out of the meditation hall and into the marketplace, into your workplace, into your home, into the comment section. Don't wait for peace to surround you. Bring it there yourself. That's the new kind of activism the world is starving for. Not slogans, not saviors, people who live peace out loud. Buddhism teaches interbeing. Everything affects everything. Your calm pulse becomes someone else's steady breath. Your silence after an insult teaches another person restraint. Your refusal to hate keeps a little more hatred from multiplying. That's the invisible math of peace. You never see the ripple you start, but it travels farther than you can imagine. Of course, it's tiring. You'll get mocked for it. People will call you naive, passive, unrealistic. Let them. The loudest cynics are usually the quietest cowards. True peace always looks foolish to fearful. But every time you stay kind when cruelty tempts you, you're not losing your training. Every moment of restraint is a repetition in the gym of consciousness. That's how peace becomes strength, not slogan. You might ask, why me? Why do I have to be the calm one, the patient one, the grounded one? Because you've seen the cost of chaos. You've lived inside storms and learned their language. You know how fragile minds can break under hate. That awareness isn't a curse. It's a calling. You don't carry peace because it's easy. You carry it because you remember what life feels like without it. When you stop chasing peace as pleasure and start honoring it as duty, your entire life reorients. You stop asking, how do I protect my peace? And start asking, how can I use my peace? Because peace unshared dies small. But peace used, peace expressed through patience, clarity, boundaries, and kindness, that peace multiplies. It becomes contagious. Let me tell you something you won't hear in the self-help aisle. Peace is a verb. It's not what you have. It's what you do. Every time you breathe through conflict, every time you choose understanding over ego, you're doing peace. Every text you don't send in anger, every argument you defuse with empathy, every forgiveness that costs you your pride, that's peace in motion. The day you understand that, your spiritual life stops being personal and starts being planetary. You no longer meditate just to calm your mind. You meditate to calibrate the world. You no longer pray for peace. You become the prayer. So tomorrow morning, don't just sit in silence. Choose one small act of peace and do it. Call the friend you've been avoiding. Apologize first. Tip the waiter double. Listen longer. Smile at the stranger who looks lost. Protect the innocent when it's inconvenient. Speak the truth when silence would make you safe. These aren't random niceties. They're the architecture of awakening. And at night, when you finally rest, don't ask if you were happy. Ask if you were kind. Ask if your presence made the world just a little lighter. Because happiness ends with you, peace echoes. Real spirituality isn't about escaping the world. It's about upgrading your participation in it. It's the art of keeping your center while everything spins. That's the duty of peace, to exist in the noise and not become it. To love fiercely without losing clarity. To lead quietly without needing applause. So yes, find your calm. But once you do, don't guard like treasure. Spend it, invest it, multiply it. Because peace that doesn't serve dies as self-help. Peace that serves becomes legacy. So here we are, 5 truths later. 5 mirrors shattered and reassembled into something stronger. You've walked through calm, through chaos, through judgment, through the myth of enough, and into the duty of peace. And maybe, somewhere in the middle, you stopped looking for comfort and started looking for clarity. If you did, then you've already begun to awaken, because awakening isn't fireworks or perfection. It's that quiet moment when you finally stop outsourcing truth, when you stop waiting for peace to arrive, and realize it's something you practice, when you stop chanting, I am enough, and start living, I am evolving. Everything you just heard, the storms, the silence, the self-talk, it all leads to the single understanding. The point of all this work is not to escape the world, but to engage it differently. You were never meant to become a monk in a cave. You were meant to be a monk in the middle of traffic, in the middle of deadlines, in the middle of heartbreak. Because spirituality that can't survive chaos isn't spirituality. It's decoration. Real wisdom lives in the messy, unpredictable, beautiful grind of daily life. It lives in how you talk to the person who disagrees with you, in how you breathe before you react, in how you love people who may never understand you. That's the new enlightenment, not withdrawal, but participation. And maybe, right now, you feel a quiet ache, like a truth has been waiting for this moment to be named. That ache isn't weakness. It's awakening. The old self, the one built on pretending, on staying calm while secretly suffocating, is finally dying, and something braver is taking its place. This journey has never been about perfection. It's been about presence. It's about learning that real calm doesn't mean silence. It means steadiness. That chaos isn't punishment. It's preparation. That judgment isn't cruelty. It's clarity in disguise. That enough isn't the end. It's the invitation to begin again. And that peace isn't the prize. It's the practice. You don't need to wait for your life to align before you begin living like this. You don't need a perfect morning routine or an aesthetic journal. You just need a single breath that says, I'm here and I'm willing. Because awareness doesn't need conditions. It only needs attention. So before you click away, before you scroll into the next dopamine rush, I want you to pause. Put your hand on your heart. Feel that pulse? That's life reminding you you're still in the game. The story isn't over. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are simply becoming. And becoming is holy. Now, Take everything you've learned here and live it, not as philosophy, but as practice. When someone hurts you, choose response over reaction. When chaos rises, listen for the lesson instead of the panic. When self-doubt whispers, replace I am enough with I am learning. When peace feels distant, remember it's not missing, it's waiting for your participation. Every single day, you get the chance to start over. Every morning is another incarnation, another rebirth into awareness. You don't need incense or temples or titles. You just need truth and the courage to act on it. That's the quiet revolution we're building here. Not a religion, not a trend, a movement of awakened humans who choose consciousness over comfort, truth over illusion, compassion over reaction. And if you've made it this far, you're part of it now. So here's your invitation. Don't let this just be another video you liked and forgot. Let it be a seed, a mantra, a mirror. Carry one sentence from this journey into tomorrow morning. Whisper as you rise. Today I will live awake. Say it until it shapes your breath. Say it until it changes how you walk into rooms. Say it until people can feel it just by standing next to you. Because that's how awareness spreads, not through preaching, but through presence, through the quiet power of a single soul who refuses to fall asleep again. And now, if this spoke to you, if something in your chest feels heavier and lighter all at once, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Let someone else wake up too. Drop a comment below. What part of you is ready to live awake? I read every word. If you felt this truth, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm to send this to more people who need it. Subscribe, not to follow me, but to follow yourself deeper. Join this community of thinkers, seekers, and truth-tellers who believe peace is not a mood, it's a mission. And when you leave this screen, do something small but conscious. Breathe before you answer a text. Listen before you judge. Apologize before you're asked. Give without posting. Forgive without keeping score. That's how the real revolution begins. Not in noise, but in awareness. Because maybe enlightenment was never meant to lift you above life. Maybe it was meant to drop you right in the center of it, fully awake, fully human, fully here. So thank you for listening, for feeling, for daring to confront what most people avoid. The fact that you stayed means you're already changing. And if no one's told you today, you don't need to become peaceful. You are the peace. You don't need to search for a purpose. You are the purpose when you live awake. Now, go live like it.